In this step, we're going to prepare the wiring for the speaker connections, and because I'm going to be including both an internal speaker and connections to an external speaker, I need these items. I need the headphone jack, in this case a stereo headphone jack, so that when it connects to multiple speakers, you can hear what's coming out of both speakers. This headphone plug, which will connect to an internal audio amplifier for the internal speaker. 3 jumper wires, in this case all male to male. I would need it. In this case, I'm going to need at least one that's male to male, just to save on jumper wires. Need a scissors to cut the wires as necessary, and a pair of pliers to crimp down on these connectors. I need 3 connectors, but I'm going to have an extra one on hand just in case I screw up somewhere. This picture shows how these wires will be connected. I'm going to have a set of 2 of the 3-wire connectors, all with the red tops, whose job it is to connect the audio input from the terminal block to the headphone plug to the audio amplifier, as well as the connection to the left and right channels of the headphone jack going off to the external speaker. So it takes a couple of these 3-wire connectors to make that happen, and then in the end everybody comes out and connects to the A0 slot on the terminal board. Then I also need to get a ground, this ground slot. I need to be able to connect that to a jumper wire going off to the audio amplifier and the ground wire of the headphone jack. And then there's just a separate jumper wire that I'll keep with this bunch that provides power to the audio amplifier. So let's, well, maybe coming back to this picture a couple times, but let's get started with making this happen. All right, so take that out of our way first, and so let's look at preparing the jumper wires. Again, one of these jumper wires is not going to be used, it's not going to be connected to anything at this point. It's just going to be set aside to connect the 3-volt power to the audio amplifier. So I'm just going to set that over here for now. And now for these 2. So one of them is going to be, I'm going to trim it a couple times. First of all, I'm going to cut the tip off, and then I'm going to use part of this wire for, so that's, I trimmed the tip off because that's going to go directly into one of the connectors. And then I'm also going to use a piece of this wire to be this little bridge between these 2 connectors. All right, so I think probably can get by with maybe that much. Worst comes to worst, I'll just cut into another jumper wire. I've got lots of them. And then this one, I'm just going to cut it directly in half because I need those 2 male ends. And this one is going to become this wire and this wire. So I just cut it into 2 parts, an orange wire. So these are going to kind of look the same, or they won't be blue and green, but we'll be able to figure that out when the time comes, which one's which. So I think one more thing to do here before I can start connecting things is this this headphone plug has two wires. We only need the red one. And to just keep confusion down, I'm going to take a scissors and I'm going to cut this black wire as close to this black insulation as reasonably possible, and just leave it like this. So let's start with this wire. Let's start with this picture. And so we're gonna create this guy right here. The headphone jack where I've just cut off the black wire is going to go into the connector, plus a half of the orange jumper wire and the little piece of yellow jumper wire that I'm going to be connecting to the other connector. So let's set those together, and we look like this. Got my connector, got my, oh, I also want to take this little tip here off. I don't want that little piece of metal sticking out there. And the little connector, little bridge between the two connectors. Now I just have to work them into this slot here, all three, and make sure that they're all the way down to the far end. Looks like the orange one here didn't go far enough in. There we go. Everybody's in. Carefully turn it over. Keep it from coming, any of the wires from coming out, and we'll clamp it. I think I need to do this. Make it the bigger opening. Check again, make sure everybody looks good. Everybody does look good. They're all down, all the way inserted. And I think I'm gonna have to bring them together a little tighter just to get it all the way flat. Okay, so we flattened it entirely. So I've got my three wires here. Coming out just like this picture, right up here. Three wires coming out, and we'll get the next set ready. So I'm going to bring in the headphone jack now, and that's going to take the red and white wires plus the little bridge wire coming from the other connector. Those three are going to go into a connector by themselves. Okay, so this is the left and right channels for stereo, plus this guy right here. And I'll do the same thing I did a minute ago. I'll trim off the little exposed metal. Don't need it. I'm going to take it off the black wire at the same time now. All right, another connector. So these three, white, red, and the jumper, or the bridge. Put these in. The key again is to make sure that they go all the way to the other end here. Everybody's pushed in as far as possible. Like this, and we will. I can check. I felt a little bit of movement. I want to make sure they're all pushed in all the way. And crunch time. There we go. Looks good. All right, back to the picture. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take the black wire from the headphone jack, that and what we've trimmed one of the jumpers, plus the remaining jumper that we cut in half. So let's take a quick look at that. So black, this one actually turned out to be yellow, and then the orange one that we cut in half. So this black wire, this one that we trimmed one end off, plus created the little bridge wire here for, or with, and the orange one that we cut in half. Those are all going to go into another connector. Come on. using the wrong side. Sorry, I had it going the wrong way. There we go. One goes in, two in. Let's see if I can do this. Come on. Three in. Let's turn her over just to make sure we're down. Ooh, yeah, orange one still needs to go in further. Come on. There we go. All right, with those in place and pushed in. Oh, I think the black one came out a little bit. So, it's a little bit tricky to keep them all pushed in nice and far. And now, crunch time. Looks good. They're all in there, held in place, and sticking up a little bit on this side, so I'm going to push it down here too. All right, nice and flat. All right, so this is what it looks like when we're all done. We have the three connectors. One of them is focused on the headphone plug. It goes to the audio amplifier. The next one is largely focused on the external, the headphone jack for the external speakers. And the last one connects all the items that need to go to ground. And I didn't even have to use my backup connector. So this is all set. I'll set this aside with the extra jumper wire that's going to head off to the audio amplifier along with this yellow one. And we'll bring that back into play when we do the audio amplifier, external speaker, internal speaker part of the assembly.